Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Tanya. I'm a salary woman. In my previous videos, I mentioned that I quit my first job in Japan less than a year after starting it. And in this video, I wanted to talk more about the reasoning behind this decision, why exactly I was not satisfied with the company I worked at. I will give you all the reasons up front, and you can watch the rest of the video to learn about these things in more details. One thing I don't want to do is to claim that the company was bad. Well, definitely there were some problems that I experienced, but I think it was more of the cultural and work culture differences between me and the company. So rather than the company was bad by itself, a lot of people who have bad experience with Japanese companies claim that they had to work overtime, they were harassed by their bosses, or they had to just endure some kind of really bad situations. Well, frankly, in my case, I did not experience any of these, and even the overtime work, I actually had very little. On the contrary, I had very little work in general. So let me just tell you one by one what exactly I didn't like working there. The company I used to work at is a big manufacturing company. It's active worldwide, around 8,000 people all around the world, and it's quite famous in its area. So when I applied to this job, I thought, okay, I can be active globally, I can make some difference, I can use my English skills and Japanese skills. So it was quite a good perspective to me, and during the interview, during when they showed me like the office and everything, it looked very legit and I liked it a lot. So I decided why not, and I entered the company. A lot of companies in manufacturing industry in Japan, especially those that are old, so my company was more than 100 years old, very traditional. They like to stick to their roots. They also experienced good economics during the Showa period, so more like 50 years ago. So they try to stick to these norms they had before, and they modernize quite slowly. So the first thing that shocked me was the orientation or training, what they call it. In European companies and American companies, usually when you enter a company, you undergo some kind of on-job training. So you join a team, and the team lead or your boss will teach you, go step by step, or what is done, what should be done at this work. But in Japan, at least in these conservative companies, it was a little bit different. First 2 months of my work was training. It was off-job training. It was more like a lecture kind of format, and I felt like I'm treated like an elementary school kid. There were 50 of us new employees at this company, and all of us went to this big room with that looks like just like a classroom. Each one of us has a designated table where we sit, a designated chair. We are only allowed to bring some items, of course, no food, just a little bit of water, and we are read lectures for 1 month on what is the rules of this company, what is the history of this company, why we need to learn English, and this kind of a self-improvement lectures. I don't even know what to say, but the reason why I felt like an elementary school kid is because we had to get up, bow, and sit down by a command when someone entered the room, for example, a new lecturer. So it was like, stand up, bow, sit down, and it was all done like an army. And I suppose this is very common in a Japanese school, and this is not something I expected to do after I turned 25. So it was a very shocking experience to me. I was like, why am I doing these kind of things? I'm an adult. I'm not supposed to do this. This is work. This is not school. But the thing that I didn't realize is that in Japanese traditional companies, so new employees are really treated like kids. Especially if you were a student yesterday, you'll be treated like a kid going forward until maybe 1 or 2 years later. One of the shocking things that I experienced was that during these lectures, we were supposed to sit straight, so they were also controlling our posture. And of course, after sitting for like 6-7 hours straight, I felt just like doing a little bit like a hunchback. And the curator came to me and was like, sit straight, He's like, what? I'm an adult already. Why am I treated like a kid? So this was the first shock I've experienced at this company. So after the 2 months of training, I felt like I just cannot wait to start working already. I was hoping that it will be much better when I start working, but it was not. One of the reasons why it was not as good as I thought it would be, well, I was assigned to a digital marketing department and I was hoping I can learn a lot, use this experience in the future, etc., etc. But when I was assigned to this department and I met my colleagues, I discovered that none of them was actually a professional in digital marketing, maybe except one person who did some Salesforce before in his previous work. In Japan, they like to raise not specialists but generalists, especially for roles such as sales, marketing, everything that is not exactly technical. But you need to have marketing knowledge and experience to run this kind of a department. In my case, it was not really true. So my boss was an ex-engineer. He was a good person, I think a very good leader, but he did lack some knowledge in marketing. And so I don't want to, again, say bad things about these people. I think they all helped me and helped me grow in some way, but the department itself was not exactly professional. So a lot of things that were going on, I felt like the processes are really outdated. The knowledge is not in there, and to get to point A to B, when in a normal company it would get maybe 5 minutes, in our case it would take like 10 hours. One of these kind of cultural differences, some kind of misunderstanding with me in the company, I didn't really see this company as a last point of my career. Well, the company did see this as a last point of my career. So while for me it was important to learn skills, for the company, it was important for me to just learn more about the company, to immerse myself into what the company is doing, and the skills was kind of a secondary thing. Another problem I've encountered in these kind of traditional companies is that these companies like to control the schedule of their employees. And in my case, I like to have a little bit of freedom. I like to have some control over my time when I come to work, when I leave work, and when I have lunch, for example. So I don't mind working the exact number of hours that the company is requiring, but there should be some kind of a flexibility on when you start your work, because we are all humans and we have our like personal commitments. Sometimes we need to run to a store or to a post office, and this all influences heavy our lives. In my previous company, this was not an option. There was a very strict timing when you should come and when you should leave your work, and even when you should have lunch. So I had to come straight 9 a.m. in the morning to the office. And the way they checked it is that I opened my computer and I input my password and login. So when I input this login and password, when the computer processes this data, it will show a timestamp. And if the timestamp is less, so it's after 9 a.m., they would make me write an explanation note on why exactly I am late. And it happened to me a few times when I would come to work early enough, but I would talk to my colleagues, for example, and I would miss the 9 a.m. mark by 1 or 2 minutes. So I would have to explain myself why exactly I missed it because I talked to my colleagues. So it felt really like a lot of micromanagement and really nonsense that would only deter me from working at this company. Another thing is that I could also leave the company only at 5:30 onwards, because even if I had some personal commitments, even if I finished my work in time, even if I came to work at 8 a.m. earlier than I should have, I could still leave the work only 5:30. So this was a big problem to me, and also my lunch was scheduled at 12:30 p.m. I think, and I couldn't have it a minute or earlier or later. So this lunchtime was about 50 minutes allocated each day, same timing for everyone in the company. And I personally like to have my lunch a bit later, maybe 2 p.m. But because of this company schedule, I had to completely change my eating habits. So actually I gained some weight during working at the company. So it felt really heavy psychologically to be controlled on this kind of micro level. And as I just said, I had to go to the office every day, every morning, and there was an option of work from home, but it was not available to everyone. So people like me, the lowest of the lowest new employees, could not take this work from home for a sheer reason that they were not trusted to do that yet. So as my boss explained, I don't know what you do at home, but this kind of reasoning doesn't really work, because if you have work and you have a result, this is the result that you show. So the boss does not really need to stand and watch my every step. And this is exactly what is happening right now at my current company. I work from home 80% of the time, and I do so much more work. I can concentrate so much better here. And because of that, a lot of people would come to work really sick, or just with showing symptoms, because they don't want to take leave. If they take a leave, it will be either unpaid leave or a leave that is taken from their holiday leaves. So most of the people, including me, do not want to take some holiday time out of yourself because you got some cold. And I was sick very often in that company. Maybe every 2 months I would catch something like a flu. I caught a corona twice, and I had the cold all the time, and it was really heavy on me psychologically and physically. As I said, right now, in the context of remote work, there was a hierarchy in the company. This is very common with Japanese traditional companies. Even though my company claimed that they tried to move away from this system, it was really still present. And towards my kacho, so the head of the department, I couldn't really like make a joke. I had to speak to them through a keigo, so honorific language, which okay, because I know Japan, this is not my country, so I had to respect the rules. But I know that a lot of companies, other companies, such as my current company, they moved away completely from that. I mean, you still use honorific language, but it's not considered like a mandatory way of communication. Another thing is that I often felt that at this previous company of mine, I was kind of undermined. So my opinion was not really taken seriously by anyone. And at some point, I started feeling like, am I doing something wrong? Is the problem is with me? Am I stupid? Moving to a new company, I realized that no, I'm okay. Like I can raise my opinion, I can show my voice. But at the previous company, I really felt like I have to sit and just listen to what the seniors are saying, and I cannot have my own opinion as a someone who just joined the company. So the hierarchy system in Japan, sometimes it can be really bad. So there were a lot of things, a lot of small things that also influenced my decision to leave this company, but I just outlined the biggest reasons why I was unsatisfied with the conservative Japanese company. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you have subscribed to my channel. Please don't forget to like this video, comment if you have any questions, and I will see you again.